Advices Radio Network.
Drugs and Stuff is for informational, educational purposes only. Welcome back to Drugs and Stuff with Dave Crosland. The show is brought to you by TrueNutrition.com. You can use our code ADVICES at checkout for additional savings and to let them know that you support what we are doing here. Dave Crosland, we are back on audio only today. What happened? Did you have a fit and break your computer? You can be honest with me now.
More or less, yes. I have no speakers on the computer at the moment, so we can't do audio on the PC, so we're having to use the phone, but the front camera on the phone's knackered, so I can't do visual on the phone, so we have to stick to audio only.
See, now we did video, and now everybody's going to want the video. Now we took it away. But
Well, we just have to keep them guessing. Variety is the spice of life. Anyway, we're all Sand and Adonis looking at the moment, so I don't want to upset people.
yeah, and I didn't do my makeup considering I knew we weren't doing video, so you guys wouldn't want to see me without having gone through the hair and makeup department first. I always have my team, my team of people to get me looking pretty for the video shows with you, Dave.
Scott, to be honest, you do look very HM.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. But hey, listen, you always, Dave, I was thinking about this. You always handle it really well. Like I always have fun ribbing you and taking some pokes in a fun way. But you are one of the most laid back people that I know. And I wanted to ask you, have you always been that way, been able to laugh at yourself? Or is that something that you had to learn to do at some point in life?
This is a heavy one. I'm not sure. I was quite insecure as a young kid, and I was quite chubby as a young kid. And so I did struggle a little bit there. I probably had a little bit of an irritating personality when I was younger, and was probably a little bit, I suppose I still am in different ways, but a little bit, hey, look at me.
Okay.
But that was born out of insecurities, and that was born out of a lack of confidence. One thing, I think a big changing point for me was the training. When I got into training and I got stronger and I got bigger, I got more confident. And it wasn't because I was stronger, I felt I was more physically capable, so therefore I was more mentally capable.
Yeah.
And then I was bad for lying for a large portion of my life.
No kidding.
I struggled a bit with exaggeration, which was a carryover from my younger years of trying to give people a reason to want to interact with me.
Yeah, like making people like you, saying things that they would want to hear that make you more interested. I can relate to that. I think we've all done that.
It was truth-based, but, you know, if I drove the car at 80 miles an hour, it was 100.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It was always just fluffed up a bit to make myself seem a bit more interesting.
So when you did Under Construction 2, were you really like 270 with rocks in your pockets at the end of that?
This little bit here was long gone by that point. The big changing catalyst for me was going to prison.
No kidding.
Prior to that, I was very bad with confrontation.
Okay.
And I would avoid confrontation, and I would bullshit to avoid confrontation, even if I was sort of in the right, and I never owned my mistakes.
Yeah.
I'd just run away from them. And to be honest, I wasn't a bad-hearted individual, but I was a bit of a dick.
Okay. I can relate to all that. It surprises me that a big guy like yourself would avoid confrontation. I think that a lot of us would think, he would just get what he wants if in a situation.
Now, there's two types of confrontation here. Physical confrontation, that was no issue whatsoever. In fact, I went through a period where I actually probably sought it out to some degree.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that with a big guy like yourself.
confrontation of a point when I'd done something wrong, and I sort of had to deal with either the consequences of that, or even if even if it was down to just a mistake. Instead of just owning the mistake and going, yeah, I fucked up, I'd try and excuse my way out of it. I'd try and lessen the impact. I'd try and I did the same with incorrect behavior as well. So I would literally just try and convince myself that what I'd done, however bad it was, there were justifications for that.
Yeah.
It was because of this or it was because of the other, and that's why it happened, sort of thing, which was just bullshit. And then I went to prison and spent a long time in a room on my own and spent a long time looking at myself and spent a long time and just realized that I was never, ever going to progress properly or ever be genuine unless I started to be genuine and started to own my mistakes and started to face my mistakes and basically just started to be honest, but honest with myself more than anything, because ultimately it didn't really matter what I said to other people. What mattered was what I was saying to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I have a couple thoughts here. First of all, I want to say I can totally relate to what you're saying. I feel like for me, it's been a huge relief to realize that I don't have to be right all the time, that I can be wrong and that's okay. I may not have the answers about things all the time and that's okay. And just accepting that, it's like it gives you more of a realistic perspective on life, and it takes a lot of pressure off you when you realize that you don't always need to know everything. I mean, I can learn, I'm teachable, but I don't have all the answers. And the other thing is, you mentioned that when you started lifting weights, that kind of it kind of helped to not only build you up physically, but it built you up mentally as well. That's another thing I can relate to. I know you said it before that you had lifted when you were younger, and then you really kind of rediscovered it and dove in while you were in prison, and that's where that's really what cultivated the Dave Crosland that I know today. Tell me more about that experience with getting back into training while you're inside.
Well, when I went into prison, I mean, I was in a loveless marriage with a woman I couldn't stand. I'd spent best part of 7 years on the run, dragged my family halfway around the world, fucked up on numerous occasions, and people had suffered because of that, both emotionally and physically. And I've done stuff, previous times where I wasn't particularly proud of actions, and I'd worked as a debt collector. So, you can sort of imagine the sort of way things had gone at that period of my life.
Okay, yeah.
And I eventually, it all caught up. Life caught up. I ended up going to prison. And I was very much initially, woe is me. My world has ended. What the fuck am I going to do? And then I started to sort of, right, well, I'm here now. What can we do? Let's start to make, why am I here? And I started to look at, well, I'm here because of this. And I'd make an excuse in my head, but then start to realize, no, that's not why you're here. You're here because you're a dick. You're here because you fucked up. You're here because you broke the law. And just started to look at a pattern of behavior that I was repeating in different events, in different circumstances. And it was almost a case of, I'm surprised I haven't been here before. And so, it just came back to the same point all the time. The common denominator and everything that was going wrong was me.
Yeah.
And the third thing I needed to do was sort of look at myself and just accept who I was. And I think the trick with that was to accept who I was without judgment, and then start looking at, right, okay, what elements of who I am don't I like?
Yeah.
And what elements do I like? And the big staple, the big sort of rod of iron that ran through everything was honesty. If I was to be a better person, the first thing I needed to start doing was to be honest.
Yeah.
And in that same time about being honest about my behavior was also being honest about my appearance.
What do you mean by that?
I was a fat fuck.
Oh, okay.
It's simple as that. You know, I was nigh on 380, 385 of just fat.
No kidding. So what do you mean by be honest about your appearance, though?
Well, I think so many of us, we do it in two ways. We look at ourselves, but we don't see who we are.
I see.
Both personality and physically.
Yeah.
So we'll either see ourselves slimmer or fatter than we really are, bigger or smaller than we really are.
Yeah.
We go to the gym and we'll cheat out a couple of reps on a big weight, and then all of a sudden that's the weight we're using, when deep down we know, well, not really, because they were shitty, cheap half reps, so we're not really using it. But, you know, we lie to ourselves, well, I can bench 200. Well, no, what I can do is a 3/4 really ropey, bouncy, really bag of shit rep with 200 kilos.
Yeah.
You know, and I quite literally just applied this simple rule to everything I did. Honesty.
Huh. I love that. Yeah. Even I use that term all the time when it comes to weightlifting, like being honest with your reps. And it's something I didn't develop that myself. That was something Shelby Starnes said to me. He said, you know, make sure I'm being honest with this, with the depth of an exercise we were doing on a leg exercise. And it's something that I've realized it's a great term for it, because you can kind of cheat out a couple. And if there's nobody there to call you on it, it's easy to say, yeah, I got two more, but let's, you know, what are you really, you know, what you're really cheating, I guess, is yourself in that situation, aren't you, when you're lying?
Yeah, you are. You're just cheating yourself. And I mean, I just almost like a one fix all sort of protocol, but just started applying it to everything.
I love that.
You can learn to be too honest, or it's not a case of you're too honest. It's a case that other people can't cope with that level of honesty, and people that generally aren't ready for honesty.
No, they're not. They get taken back by it, don't they?
My current wife is from a previous early relationship, which is why we have a daughter together who's 20.
Yeah.
So we were together, then we split. Now, my part in that relationship was the part of an absolute dickhead. I mean, I was a wanker. I was every arsehole under the sun. And I was very, very ashamed of what I did, because I just abandoned her when she was pregnant.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I'm not proud of that. It's something I've at least come to terms with.
Yeah.
I stayed in a loveless relationship for 12 years because I was punishing myself for my actions in that previous relationship.
Oh, it's all coming together, because I've heard you've told me that before, and now it's all making more sense as to why.
Yeah. So I'm in a relationship for 12 years with someone I don't love, I don't even like. Because I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve better than that because of what I've done in the past.
Yeah.
This is what I deserve. This is what I'm allowed, because this is all I'm worth. And it's I think that's a mistake a lot, mate, is you've got to be mindful of the past and you've got to learn from the past, but you can't live in it.
Yeah.
And I was very much living in it. So when me and my ex started talking again, I was brutally honest. But it was that brutal honesty that was the foundation of why our marriage is so strong and successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't start with trying to impress her.
Yeah. Gosh, man, I know a story of a guy, because I think we've all fallen into this, but I knew a guy who he told his girlfriend all of these tales when he met her. He was working at a gym, and she was this beautiful girl on the step mill, and he started telling her, like, basically fabrications. He had done like sports in college, and you know, he was successful in all these different ways and had this degree. Basically, he was just trying to get laid. Ended up becoming a long-term relationship, but then what do? Now you've told this girl all these stories, and you got to stick with that for years. And of course, she eventually found out, and the whole thing fell apart. And it was sad, you know, but he never thought about the fact that, hey, this might actually last, you know, this might turn into something. And it really bit him in the end.
Well, the thing is as well, though, why would you want someone to be with you for who you pretend to be and not who you are?
Well, I get it. You know, at the time he was just thinking about the short term. I want to sleep with this girl. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He didn't think about the 2 years down the road or whatever.
I was brutally honest with her, and I couldn't answer all her questions, but I answered what I could to the best of my ability with as much honesty as I could.
Yeah.
And I've been honest ever since. It's true that though there is some short-term pain with honesty, long-term it's so much easier and better to live with.
Yeah, it is.
I tried to be the same with myself, and you know, I try to own. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes, and I just try and own them when I do. But yeah, I mean, going to prison was a big catalyst for me in lots of ways. I mean, I started training again in prison.
Hey, tell me about that part, man. Let's spin this back to bodybuilding and well, weightlifting in general and what that's done for you, because I think a lot of people will relate to that. So you were in jail, you were in prison. You came to terms with being honest with yourself and saying, "Hey, I'm not in great shape. I'm out of shape, in fact." What did you start doing then? Did you just hit the weight pit and start throwing the weights around, or what?
You access. We have a category system. So when you enter a prison system in the UK, you'll enter either a Cat A or a Cat B, which is your local prison. You're then assessed, and that assessment can take anything from a matter of weeks to a matter of months. And then you're sent to what is basically your sentence prison, which is a prison that will denote category based on offence. So in my case, technically a white collar crime, I went to what was a category C prison, which is obviously a little bit laxer when it comes to security.
Yeah.
But you don't get massive access to the gym, particularly not in your first few months.
Okay.
At Cat C, you could earn, I think we ended up with about 4 gym sessions a week, but I could earn a couple of extra ones by doing extracurricular activities. So I used to teach kids guys that couldn't read or write. We used to do a step-by-step program, and I used to work with that in order to get myself an extra gym session.
Well, that's cool, man. It was a cool way to earn it too.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, you know, my the attraction of it was getting the extra gym session.
Right.
But actually, once I got into it, you know, it was quite rewarding as well, to be fair. It was nice to actually see someone moving forward and gaining from my support. There was a bit of a buzz behind that of, you know, I've helped this guy actually learn to read and write.
I bet. Hey, over here they have more and more. They're removing weights from the jails and the prisons. I believe in the federal prisons, well, basically in general, once something breaks, they remove it. They're not replacing things anymore. It's becoming less and less common to find weights in prison. There was a thing in the early 90s where they took a lot of them away, because they started saying all we're doing is we're creating these super criminals. We're getting them and putting them in prison, and then they're getting bigger and stronger so they can commit more heinous crimes when they get out, which is obviously foolish, because we know how much weightlifting can be a therapeutic benefit to us on so many levels. Is it like that over there, or do you guys, what's the weights like in a prison over in the UK?
It varies from prison to prison. I mean, I remember being in one prison, which was Shotts, which is a very high security prison in Scotland. Okay. And got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a rough hole in days gone by. The gym setup was particularly good, and one of the gym guys, one of the prison wardens that ran the gym, was an ex-powerlifter. And this prison had an engineering department where they used to make bed frames and skips and various other things, and these used to be sold out to bring money into the prison system. And it was ran by prisoners. Okay. Well, and by prisoners. And we started making gym equipment in there as well for the gym.
Oh, nice.
not machines, but like adaptions.
Yeah.
So a strug frame or something just needed a bit of welding and a bit of box section sort of stuff.
Yeah. You could probably like fix a dumbbell or something, I'm guessing, in there too.
And they used to run us an annual strongman competition, which was quite good.
Did you ever take part in that?
No, I didn't actually. I never did. But so that wasn't a bad gym. And in general, but they do vary from prison to prison. Some are better than others. They tend to be a little bit more cardio focused. But like I said, that was a particularly good gym for having heavy weight and allowing heavy training.
Okay.
Diet wise, it's a bit shit, if I'm honest. Plenty of carbs. You can have jacket potato with chips and beans any day of the week. But what I used to do is, as you know, I can do a bit of drawing. And one thing that's good business in the British prisons is sketches of family members.
No kidding.
Especially kids. So I would draw portraits of people's kids.
Oh, wow.
They would then pay me in tobacco because that's the main. It is if you're not using drugs.
Yeah.
So I would pay tobacco to the kitchen staff, who would then steal me extra tuna or extra chicken.
Nice. You had the hookup going then.
So you set that little network up, and it doesn't take long to find out someone who works in the kitchen that smokes, and they're quite happy to get free tobacco every week for just because they get to bring extra food out of the kitchens anyway. So do is just send it your way, and you just end up paying everybody in the chain with a bit of tobacco till you get what you need.
Nice. I did an episode of Advices Radio that I called Locked Up in Lifting. It was some time ago, and I had John Romano on there, as well as a few other ex-cons who had been in various different prisons, and they had similar type situations. How would you keep your food fresh in the prison? Because I know chicken, it's only going to last so long, right?
You stick it on the windowsill and hope for the best.
Really? Okay. How long can you leave chicken on the window? Or let me ask you this. What was like the longest you had left chicken on the windowsill and still ate it?
Let me put it this way. I've eaten some foods at those times that I probably wouldn't eat again.
I bet, man. Did you have access to like a microwave to heat anything up, or how'd that work?
No, cold.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know that they would sometimes, I've heard, when you have a microwave, you could at least nuke all the bacteria off of it. It might taste like rubber when you're done, but it would be at least sterilized.
Well, I mean, when I entered the prison, I've been in prison 3 times, but the first 2 times were literally a week and 2 weeks, which were for stupid driving offences.
Okay.
Predominantly not having a valid insurance. But so you had a kettle in your room, you had a TV in your room, so you could boil a kettle and make hot water, but that was as far as any cooking facilities went.
I should have guessed you're in the UK. They're going to still have tea time in jail. But
I've seen people because every wing would have an ironing board and an iron.
Okay.
And take that into your cell because you would say you were ironing your shirts or whatever it was for when you had a visit.
Yeah, okay.
You always had your best prison uniform for your visit.
Yeah.
Well, with a bit of creativity, tin foil and an iron, you can make quite a good hot plate.
You were ironing your chicken.
They would run 2 wires from either end of a strip light.
Okay.
Get the full razor blade, split it in half.
Oof.
Connect 1 wire to one side, connect 1 wire to the other side, then drop those 2 blades into a cup of water and the circuit heat and heat the water up.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying to me.
The fuses used to get blown regular as clockwork, but I mean, there's nothing like prisoners to be ingenious.
Yeah, I guess so, man. That's awesome, though.
But yeah, I mean, straight away I had a massive restriction of food just because I was in prison. I couldn't get the access of what I wanted, and then, I just did the best I could, really, with what was available, and diet was a bit hit and miss, and I used to, when I eventually moved to open conditions, which is basically sort of a prison without walls, so you had some freedom of being able to get out of your room and move about when you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get up and do fasted cardio in the morning before we went for breakfast and stuff like that.
So you went in, you said you were fairly overweight. What did you say you were, 370?
About 380.
380? And then when you came out, where were you then, if you remember?
265.
Dang. And it just took off from there. Once you got out, you kept lifting.
Yeah, I mean, I came out having lifted. When I was in open conditions, steroids became available, but I left them alone.
No kidding.
And I didn't touch gear until I came out. When did I come out? About 4 years before I filmed UC. You still there?
Yeah, I lost you again.
Yeah, no. If anyone's ringing me, it comes through as knocks you out. But yeah, I came. I was probably out for 3-4 years before I did UC1.
Okay.
And I didn't start using gear until about 6 months after I came out.
And then I bet you really took off from there.
Yeah, well, UC1 was my 4th cycle.
Okay.
And
No kidding. I didn't realize that. I figured you'd already been well into gear for a long time by then.
No, from my return to training, UC was my 4th cycle.
Yeah.
And UC2 was my 5th.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, we got to head off to a break here, but before we do, I wanted to ask you. So, Body Power is coming up, and you are confirmed, right? You're going to be set to talk at this year's Body Power again.
Yeah, it's all changed, and I'm still not 100% familiar with it all. But there is an area called the Underground, which is a development from what used to be the Bodybuilding Evolution stand where Scott spoke last year and I spoke last year.
Okay.
And then there's a new area called the Lab, which is technical talks. So it's the Lab is there's I think Helen Marsden from Medichecks is talking there. Dr. Dean is talking in the Lab.
Oh, nice.
The Gorilla Chemist is talking in the Lab.
Nice.
I am, Richard Foster is, and there's a guy from a TRT clinic talking in the Lab, and then there's another Dr. Hamid, I think he's called, talking in the Lab. And then you've got the Underground, which is more sort of training and bodybuilding focused.
Okay.
So I can't remember. I'm talking there on the Friday and Sunday. But on the Saturday, I believe they've got Luke Sandow, they've got Dana Lynn Bailey, they've got the French guy, Asti.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't know him.
He's 350 pounds.
Jeez.
In condition.
Yeah, no, I don't know him. I'll have to look him up.
Martin Asti, I think he's called. Morgan Ast.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know who he is.
He's huge. 6'3" and 365 pounds with abs.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Does he compete, or he's just being jacked for the hell of it?
I'm not sure if he does or not. He got himself in a bit of bother a couple of years ago because he has a bit of a management team, and they released his statement saying he was a natural.
Oh, jeez.
Which got him a bit of piss taking.
I bet.
Who else is on that? There's a massive lineup on the Saturday. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, the Underground on the Saturday is just worth the price. I mean, I've never been a big fan of Body Power, if I'm perfectly honest. I've always found it a bit shit.
Really? Okay.
I enjoyed last year, but I enjoyed last year because of the people I were with.
Yeah.
So like talking with Scott on stage, I really enjoyed, and hanging around with the guys that we did on the Strom stand last year, I really enjoyed. But he's this year, that lineup on the Saturday is worth the ticket price alone. So no, each of, so I'm doing 5 talks in total: 2 Friday, 1 Saturday, 2 Sunday. It should be quite. I've got really good time slots on the lab posting, which probably means I've got really shit time slots on the underground one.
Okay.
So I'm going to do 1 training approach seminar on the underground, and then 1 Q&A, and then on the lab I'm doing the endocrine system shutdown, PCT, blast crews, and cycles, as in how it all works, what everything does. Nice. What the effects of those approaches are. And then I'm going to do 1 on steroids interactions in the brain.
That'll be fun. That'll be really cool.
And then the last one, I was going to possibly do more of I'm in 2 minds here, whether to do steroid use and social impact, social drivers, or just to do more of this drug does this is its side effects, this is its effects in the body, this is what it's used for type thing. I'm not sure.
I like the social aspect. That would be very interesting to me.
I presented to the government with that one, and I might use pretty much, plus it's a lot easier because I've already got most of it written up, but I might use that one because I think it might be a more interesting topic. But at the same time, some of the grassroots 101 stuff's important for people. Because, and you know what, if it wasn't for work, I think I'd have come off social media after this last month or so.
Really? Why is that?
Just the level of shit that's on there.
Yeah.
Absolute bollocks that I'm seeing posted by people with ulterior motives, and the fact that people can't see through. The reason that person's post that is because it's clickbait. The reason that person's posting that is because they own a lab and it's fucking up, and they're trying to justify that by claiming that these issues you're having with their products are actual normal.
Yeah.
And all sorts of just garbage. And it's just like, it seems like the information online in social media is, I mean, it's always had its moments. We all know that.
Yeah.
But it seems to have downgraded massively just recently.
Yeah. Or you're just seeing it more recently.
Yeah, because I want cake. And that possibly be a good influencing factor in all this. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, let's get to a quick break. When we come back, I had a couple more questions for you. Last thing before we go, though, what's the date on that for Body Power in case anybody's interested in going?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to find out the date, guys. We will be back in just a moment. Hey, guys, why are you using sports nutrition that was designed for someone else? At TrueNutrition.com, they offer the world's largest selection of quality protein powders, and they let you design your own custom blend from a variety of powders, flavors, boosts, and packaging options, like the Team Skip blend, for instance. That's over 20 billion possible combinations to create a protein powder tailored to your diet, your goals, your tastes, and your budget. TrueNutrition.com also offers the ability to create delicious custom oatmeal blends, and they're third-party tested, proving that all their supplements are ensured to have the highest level of quality and value. Don't be a sucker and pay for fancy packaging and gimmicks. Discover the source that bodybuilders trust and stop using mass-produced nutrition that wasn't designed for you. TrueNutrition.com, and use our code ADVICES at checkout to let them know that you support the shows. Hey guys, if you've enjoyed listening to Dave here on Drugs and Stuff, then you can check out his website, crosslands.org.uk. That's CROSLANDS.org.uk. Dave offers services to a wide range of individuals. He offers performance and image enhancing drug, individualized support, Their expert team can offer confident and concise one-on-one support for users of all backgrounds. This includes counseling, support, guidance, analysis of blood results, health guidelines, cycle development, and advising best forms of practice for minimizing harm. So check them out. Let's get back to the show. All right, guys, welcome back to Drugs and Stuff with Dave Crosland. I'm Scott McNally. And Dave, you just looked the dates up. What did you say it was? May 10th through the 12th?
12th.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'm going to go to the message board here and start up with our next question. This is, so we've got, like I mentioned before the break, we have a question thread. It's at the Advices Radio website. So you can either go to advicesradio.com and click on the forum button, or you can go to forum.advicesradio.com. And from there, if you go into the bodybuilding discussion section, at the top of it, there are threads for all the shows, including this one. They're all sticky at the top. This is the Drugs and Stuff thread. We are going to Drew UK. I believe this is the next one we have not answered yet. He says, hi, Dave and Scott. Coming of the back of a diet and time. Oh, coming off, I think is what he means. The back of a diet and time to hold the weight. I'm not exactly sure what he means here. So I'm not sure, but he's trying to hold weight and he's going to be on TRT only. Would a cycle of, what's that? I
would have thought that's both cycle trying to hold weight.
Yeah. And he says, he's on TRT only. Would a cycle of test and masteron and DHB be a good way to gain mass, but A, avoid water retention that has historically caused high blood pressure issues, and B, avoid the use of DECA as it causes anxiety for me personally, personally really wouldn't suit Tren. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding a little bit of the way he's writing here. But he wants to avoid DECA as it causes anxiety. He wants to avoid blood pressure issues. He adds, cycles before have never passed 700 milligrams total. So plan would be to run 300 milligrams of Sustanon, 200 milligrams of Masteron, 200 milligrams of DHB. Diet is clean and will bring calories up accordingly, and cardio at 20 minutes post-workout 4 times a week. Okay, I think what he's saying at the beginning was that he had been dieting, he has been holding his weight on TRT only, and now he wants to add these compounds to do a mass gaining phase.
Yeah, DHB, only thing with DHB is it can be a little bit awkward to manage. One issue people find with DHB is not so much side effects from the drug, but it's actually the fact that it crashes like fuck.
No kidding.
It can do. Depends on the manufacturer, but unfortunately, it's not the easiest of compounds to keep stable.
Okay.
And as a lot of people don't, as in manufacture-wise, don't run the more expensive carrier oils. You put DHB in something like rapeseed oil, and you're going to struggle to get it to stay in suspension long term.
Okay.
It's a fucker for crashing out. So that can be a bit of a pain in the ass. DHB can be problematic from an injection point of view with PIP.
I've heard that. When I used it, I didn't get that, but I think it was just the lab I used was pretty decent.
Yeah, obviously all these things will vary from lab to lab and from person to person.
True.
And
yeah.
Definitely not one who's going to be a catch-all for everybody.
Yeah.
But DHB's, otherwise not a bad little compound. And it can be very, very useful. But yeah, I've not seen anything from what he said that jumps out as being, oh no, you shouldn't be playing with that.
What do you think about that dosing, 200 milligrams a week of DHB?
Yeah, I'd keep it on the low side, to be honest. I'd probably go 100 mg EOD, 75 EOD, that sort of level.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's quite potent stuff. I don't think you need mega. And you've got to remember as well, we are looking at he's never gone over 750 total usage.
Good point.
He's using quite a powerful, quite a potent drug with DHB.
Okay.
So, we've got to look at in comparison to his previous experience, that would be quite a nifty little stack for him.
Okay. What about, and I may have asked you this question before, what about adding Masteron to this plan for mass gaining? Because traditionally, when I came up on the message boards, one would say Masteron was just for your cutting. It was just going to give you a cosmetic effect if your body fat was low enough. But, you see it more and more now. Guys are adding this in to an off-season mass phase.
No, I mean, I have no issue with Masteron. It's end of the day, it's a DHT. It's still anabolic.
Yeah.
It's not one of the big response drugs, but it like Primo. Primo can be used in the bulking stage, particularly if you're you keep lean and you stay lean. Obviously, you have an anti-estrogenic element to it as well. So you're effectively putting in a low-level anti-estrogen, which at the same time has an anabolic value. So, I mean, I know people that will use Masteron as their estrogen control if their testes are quite low dose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to have an impact against, the aromatization of, well, not a big impact against the aromatization of, say, a baseline of 750 mega test. But if your test is the sort of 250 to 400 range, a couple of hundred mega of Masteron, and you could well find you don't need any estrogen control at all other than that, as long as you're getting genuine Masteron, which is always a point that's very much worth making.
Yeah, yeah.
But otherwise, I don't have a big issue with Masteron at all.
Okay.
I find it quite a useful little drug. I did, however, have somebody who was suffering with quite severe anxiety and panic attacks from Masteron.
No kidding.
Which I found very, very strange. So I'm still trying to work out the mechanism on that one. But yes, I don't know if it's just a total anabolic value that's causing him the problem overall, but he seems to, since he's added Masteron into his cycle, he's having problems.
Huh. Did we talk in the past? I think we did cover, there was a question before that, and I wanted to make sure we don't miss anything. I think we did talk about T&E in the previous episode. I know that Matt Bell had asked this question to another program on Advices as well, but he had a plan of running Tren, Prop, EQ, and then he was going to add T&E in. And he was talking about doing it every other day versus every day. T&E every other day, you're not going to be able to maintain any kind of consistent blood level if that was your goal, right?
No.
Okay, I think we did talk about this.
Yeah, because we talked about how over blood stabilization can have a negative effect.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. All right, I'll move on to the next one then. That question we just did about the DHB, Masteron, and Sust, that was from Drew, UK. We are moving on to, it looks like yours, URS. And this is his first post. He says, "Hi, guys. I love the show. I've noticed that some guys who blast and cruise always get acne issues during their cruise periods, but not on their blasts." He is speaking to me. This is me. I myself have had some bad shoulder acne clear up dramatically when starting on DECA, then come back into full force when the DECA is clearing out. What would cause this, and what can be done to mitigate it? This is a good question.
Hormone imbalances.
Yeah. Don't come off? Is that the answer? Just never come off the DECA.
It's very difficult to say. Acne is generally caused by two main routes. First route is anabolic action at the sebaceous gland, which is causing an increase of oil in the skin.
Yeah.
The other route is a hormonal imbalance. not necessarily have to be high estrogen, doesn't necessarily have to be anything low. It can just be that the balance between the hormones has changed.
Yeah.
So I would suspect that it's that period of hormone imbalance that is causing the problem. So when you go on cycle, you've got some disruption, but very, very quickly hormones will start to balance out again. And then as you come off, we're starting to see imbalances and disruptions. And as the levels of anabolics drop because you're no longer injecting, progesterone levels, prolactin levels, and estrogen levels will still stay elevated for some period of time after that.
Yeah.
They're not going to drop as quick. So I would, the only real thing you can do is try and build up a history of testing around just before you come off and the periods when you experience symptoms, and see if you can recognize a trend in what your hormones are doing, and then you can look at how you need to manage them in order to create a balance and control that issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the meantime, all you can do is practice the best personal hygiene you can manage. But even exfoliating and keeping on top of personal hygiene, that's not going to have a massive impact of the hormonally driven acne.
Because it's the spark is internal, you're saying, versus being something like a surface irritant that's causing it to happen. I think one mistake I made early on when I got acne was after I had the acne, I spent a lot of time like scrubbing it, and then that made it worse because it's an infection of the skin.
The other thing that can cause acne, actually, which I missed completely because I wasn't thinking along those lines, is central nervous system stress.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that will normally come on because you've been on way too long. But that's a very specific type of acne. It's not like your little spots. That's like big, boily type shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that like if I would start scrubbing it, then I would just open the acne up and spread it. You know, I think the key I had to learn that my dermatologist ended up telling me was to not wash my skin abrasively if I had acne, to treat it real gently. Because I was always thinking like scrub it really hard, get this as clean as possible. But then when I would do that, I just, tear up the sores, basically the acne sores, and make it worse. So I thought that was a key. And when I've noticed I get it still is I miss a shot. I'll be on even like an HRT dose, and I let my hormones fluctuate because I should be taking this shot every 5 days or whatever, but instead I miss it, and then I take it, every 10 days or whatever. And then from there, my blood levels have gone down and then they come up. And when things fluctuate like that, they get out of control. I even found like Tren every other day would cause me acne. But if I moved that to every day, then it stable, like for there. And I know we've talked a lot about keeping blood levels unstable. For me, if I keep them stable, then that's been the one benefit has been it helped acne, because I would break out otherwise, even on fast acting compounds split into every other day.
There's an element of trade-off there, in the same way as you can see people with immune response, test flu, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so you end up having to space the dose out as much and as evenly as possible, because the lower fluctuations they have a less of a reaction to. So there's pluses and minuses to each route that you take, and unfortunately there isn't one that's like holy grail. And it's down to you and your priorities as to what works best for you in your life. Some people, well, I get a bit of acne, but it's on my back, so I'm not really bothered. Other people are like, oh no, it's really important to me, is that, so I'd rather have to run potentially a little bit more drugs on my cruise in order to maintain stability. If it means I can get rid of the acne during cycle, so there's all sorts of considerations, but it's a case of you need that knowledge to make that decision.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do now and again, not very often, but I do now and again.
All right. I'm looking for the next question here. This is from Woodbro. He says, hey guys, quick question. Why is it whenever I start a cycle, throughout the cycle, my medial delts will begin to spasm sporadically, or whenever I am carrying something? I stretch generally, or else my muscles knot up, especially since I'm running D-ball. I warm up properly, and I try to have proper form. But for some reason, whenever they are in the slightest flex position, they begin to twitch. Done my research and really haven't been able to find anything in time that I actually do have, but I've never been able to find anything in the time that I actually do have to research. Thanks, guys. So he's getting these muscle twitches and spasms, and they're specifically in his delts. And he says it's happening while he's on cycle.
I would suspect there's a couple of mechanisms that could be at play here. But I think the most likely one is that we've got an increase in, particularly if he's talking, I know he mentions D-ball, that we've got an increase in water retention.
Okay.
Which is resulting in an increase in muscle pumps. And in the same way, you can get lower back pumps from water retention when you're moving around.
Yeah.
You can get delt pumps if you're having to do things that it means that your arms are above your head. And then the twitching would be a case of, as the muscles pumping, there's some pressure on a nerve.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of people that work as like electricians or builders or such like really, or plasterers particularly, really struggle at work when they're on cycle because they get such insane pumps in their delts so quickly.
Oh, yeah. I felt that. I felt that carrying groceries or in my traps.
Yeah, so it's like, try changing a fucking awkward light fitting. When you're yeah. So I'm assuming from what he said is it's a similar situation where he's getting huge delt pump when he's trying to do anything with his arms elevated. So the twitching then would suggest that there's a small amount of pressure applying to a nerve from the pump. Other than that, we know that gear does have an impact on central nervous system, but I can't really see how it would be specifically targeting the shoulders, but the next line of thought would be the neck. Now, he said he's focused on stretching, but is he stretching his neck? Because that nerve track will come out between, I think it's C6 and C7.
Okay.
Which it might be slightly higher up, but I'm pretty sure that the nerve lines for your shoulders and down to your arms come out of your spine between those two vertebrae. If they're getting tight, then there could be some mild pressure on those nerves coming out of there, which could be causing twitching in your shoulders as well.
Okay.
But my shoulders used to dance.
Did they really?
They'd sit there and they used to just start dancing.
I've gotten that before, or in my bicep. I just get like a weird twitch and I just start jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I've always had some issues with C6. I'm pretty sure it's C6 and C7 that damaged in my neck. And because the vertebrae has a jagged edge, every now and again they'll hook onto each other.
Oh, God.
It's not painful, but
it sounds like it would be.
No, it just puts some pressure on the nerve, and I end up with like a constant twitch in my delt. It just takes a quick neck crack and it frees it up.
Yeah.
A couple of times I've had to have actual physical manipulation to get it to release, but yeah, it's never been particularly overly painful, but it has caused weird sensations. I'll lose the feeling in my smallest finger and the first finger and the base of my hand.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically from the bottom of my little finger all the way down to my wrist, I'll just lose all sensation there, and in the other finger if it gets fully nipped.
Okay.
And that's like, oh, they've gone numb, right? I need to have my neck released.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if he figures anything out, if any of this helps him, get back to us and let us know, because I feel like this is something that we haven't really talked about this, and it seems like it's probably something that's very specific to him. It doesn't feel like this is a common issue that everybody runs into while just because they're using gear.
I would suspect though there's some localized pumping that's just putting pressure on a nerve, and he just makes sure that when he's doing his stretching, he also includes stretching his neck.
Okay.
But the other thing is, I wouldn't be overly bothered by it anyway. So unless he's just worried about, is there a problem? No, I don't think there's a problem at all. So you don't need to worry about it. Twitches, just enjoy the dance.
That's a good point. So we're running a little low on time, but I'm going to get one more question in here. We've got Big Beck 90. He says, hello guys. He says, thanks for the advice about adding MK677 to increase appetite. I started MK677 daily, 25 milligrams a day for about a month. I noticed an increase in appetite. Also was getting great pumps, even to the point where I was getting some carpal tunnel type syndromes. But then it just faded away. Felt like it had stopped working. Figured I'd jump to every other day. Still nothing. Love it when it was working, but now it just stopped. Any suggestions? Still looking to put on size and increase appetite. Side note, I did not switch brands. That's a good point to make. Thank you. Thanks, Big Beck. This is a good question. So he had a great starting experience with MK677, and over time he felt like it stopped working. What do you think about that? I know that Dr. Scott had some research, and I know that Big Beck has looked at this. We talked about it on Muscle Minds. There's been some studies. One study said that it stopped working after a few days. MK677 became less and less effective. But then we've seen other stuff saying that blood levels of IGF were elevated for an extended period of time. Care to weigh in, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I've always found it best to be used cyclically. So I tend to drop it in back end of cycles for sort of anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks, just to give appetite a kick towards the back end.
Okay.
And I find it really, really useful that way. The carpal tunnel syndrome type stuff, well, what he's probably not really recognized because he's implemented it for appetite is that it is a growth hormone secretary. It's a peptidic growth hormone secretary. It's not a SARM as it's usually sold as. And as a result, he is going to be increasing growth hormone. So carpal tunnel type syndrome side effects from growth hormone are quite common. He's probably got a bit of water retention going on as well, which will be adding to that issue, which will also be why he was feeling the pumps he was feeling to some degree. As well as growth hormone is going to increase pumps anyway. But yeah, I would just take a break, 6 to 8 weeks off, and then jump back on if you want to use it again.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the program. We had a couple minutes left, but due to some technical difficulties, the last 3 minutes didn't record exactly the way I would like them to. So, in that case, we are going to end the show right here. So, thanks to Dave Crosland. Check out his website, crosslands.org.uk. And, of course, visit our sponsor, True Nutrition. You could use our code ADVICES. And, guys, we will see you next time on Drugs and Stuff. Thanks for listening.
Advices Radio Network.